Hi everyone. So today we are going to be looking at the Coburg and Idaho 4 case. If you've caught my last readings, you will know why I'm covering this part. To say that in my readings I've mentioned, and those psychic readings are, by the way, without meditating. I presume meditating on the case I would get a lot more graphic scenes. I put on the camera and what I get either prior or what I'm going to do in the reading. So for example, if the day before I've made a decision to do a reading on this, then I might start getting downloads. I make notes. Other than that, I don't meditate on it. So I know for a fact, when I work on a case, that I will get a lot more. Okay, so having said that, I do want to validate some of the things. Now, if you've followed everything and all the videos, which are not many, and that's why I would say if we want to continue this, you need to let me know in the comments, and you should be a subscriber, and like and comment. That came across a bit harsh. I didn't mean it that way, but I commence the video and then I might start getting overwhelmed with what I want to deliver, to share with us, and then things that might come through. At the moment, I'm feeling my throat is getting blocked on things that I obviously intend to cover. In previous readings, so it's a good idea to catch them up while there's not many, I mentioned, I believe, quite a few people, and those of you that are avid followers of the case from the beginning will probably know if this was the case. And I'm not just talking about psychics, but true crime podcasters, the ones that don't just regurgitate newspaper or media or news, but add some authentic analysis to it. So I said that I believe the profiler of a hunter will be a lot of what people get. I do think that some people might have, or psychics got that this person lives nearby. I don't know about that. I got, so the hunter profile energy, I did mention about the 345, 350 time frame being very significant. Given that I don't know the details, and whatever details I knew, I always mention it at the beginning of the video. I mentioned while I was in one of the videos, hopefully I've added the clip at the beginning, a couple of the clips. I'm just getting this just now, not really sure, but they needed plumbing in that house. They needed plumbing obviously to fix water issue. Some maintenance, but plumbing is what I'm getting. When we went on to visit this second energy that was coming through, I remember the Hermit card. I remember the maintenance card. I also remember, yes, somewhere along the lines I would have known that it was December or November this happened. But you know when you have a lot that you're covering and other stuff, so it slips out your mind. And I got that card where it was like, I think it's cold. I did say previously I think there would be footsteps. And one of my first readings, I mentioned about the glove. I'll probably get this in my notes as well, but with the glove or something, the police, and maybe they've put it in the investigation report, that's something that I've not fully read. I've barely read to skim through. But I'm going to go to it because on the second part of this, I want to look at the person I'm going to talk about in this video to see if he comes up and what is there. Again, this is not to say or create conspiracy or to state that Kohberger is not the one. But from the beginning, there's questions, and I feel like there's still questions outstanding. Why do I feel this? Because post the sentencing, usually a prosecution, and they would have had a press conference. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the full sentencing because I couldn't bear the victim impact statements. It was only the other day on the video that you saw, prior to it by an hour, I saw most of what I believe Zana or Zana's stepfather had said. So I didn't even watch all of Dylan's statement because I felt it was going to be, barely watched 90% of it because I felt it would be just too much. So where was I going? This is why it's difficult to stay on track. I got the cold. I was saying how cold it was. Oh, the law enforcement. So I believe something that was found that belongs to Kohberger or someone at the scene, to do with that case, that needed to be taken to investigate it. And I believe it might have been the glove that Kohberger or something he dropped. Law enforcement have claimed that they found it when I believe someone else found it, like maybe a detective or someone like a true crime podcaster who goes there. And I don't know if that's in the investigation report that was reported. Sorry if I'm closing my eyes. It's a lot easier to streamline what's coming in to say it. Going back to the second energy. So we got cards showing that there is that second energy. And along with the profiling that I was saying, I also mentioned in my readings that I'm extremely shocked that there's no surveillance, that this person who did this was at least two of the places, and I mentioned them in my readings. And we see a second energy that I'm going to talk about here, I believe, in one of the surveillance. Is it the food truck where the two girls was at? I mentioned about the plumbing. I got the maintenance card. I said, so maybe this second energy, could they have been a maintenance worker? Is something tied to them? Could they given a floor plan, even though Kohberger would have been in that house? I'm 100% had been in that house. Not necessarily when they were there, and it was during the daytime, I believe I got. So the maintenance worker is involved in this. What else did I get, Spirit? And so what happened is a video of 5 minutes came up on my screen, and it was from 2 years ago, and I can't remember what true crime or news it was. But apparently there was someone else that they looked into and maybe needed to look into further. This second person is everything that I've just said ties in to this second energy. What do I mean by that? So in the beginning, I mentioned that I don't understand how the defense did not, feel that they had to take the plea deal. The defense was feeling a lack of confidence. Because that's what I was energy channeling. And then I found out it was because the third party, which I disagree with in most cases as such as this, but especially in a DEATH penalty case, that a defense cannot bring in a third party. Even if it's completely doolally, the jury can see that, right? But there's so much that just seems wrong for a D penalty case. I'd mentioned that I even see a black man and a woman and I believe they are possibly rug stealers. They didn't commit it, but they could have either easily been investigated, and they could have brought in that energy, as well as this, obviously, this second energy that I didn't want to read on, but this video clip popped up. The video clip was saying that Jack John Showalter lived nearby. I believe he was a student as well. He was at the food truck, not with the girls, but he was there. I don't know. I found this out after that 5-minute clip I'd seen, so I don't know if he interacted with them. But he must have been obviously on the camera. Hoodie maybe. And I mentioned a gag order was put out so fast on this. Other things that I've mentioned, which is Spirit bringing in separately, is I believe a chief of the state police that were involved had left, resigned. The prosecutor just wanted to get this over and done with, and that's true. I've just found out today that in 2024, the chief investigator, prosecutor, chief investigator, or sheriff, etc., had left in 2024, and someone new took over. If you go back to my readings, everything I'm saying is there for you to see, and that's why if you have seen them, you'll be able to say, yes, you did. Yeah, you did. So what was in this 5-minute clip? It said that this guy, who I'm calling JS from now on, I believe was also a student. He was an avid hunter. He was seen on the surveillance on the food truck, which I knew later. He lived nearby. There was a report that a maintenance guy needed to get into his apartment, which is not far from their house, for some plumbing work. And it was him who had saw some droplets of red in the apartment, in which the police were then alerted. Now, prior to that, or the same time as that, I don't really know, so I didn't look into it, so I can do this, and then I'm going to look into it a bit more. Apparently, there was some droplets either on the handrails. Now, in my previous reading, I got something about handrails and blood DNA showing. And at his door, which apparently his door was extremely polished, as if it was like really, really brand spanking clean, and everyone else's apartments was a bit dusty. He was seen at 3:50, I think, walking, which would be the direction of the house. But then apparently, I need to look into this further, so I'm just quoting what I think I heard. This is outside the 5 minutes that I've seen. But then the surveillance, the camera cannot catch where so he's approaching the house, but then it can't catch if he was, went into the house or not. He is seen at the food truck, I think. Maybe he interacted with one of the girls. We'll see about that. So you all might know that 2 years ago, maybe there was a lot of heightened talk about this, and I'm surprised at that time there wasn't cease and desist stuff. On this person not to be spoken about, because I feel like if this person gets spoken about a lot, that this is going to be happening. a deceased kind of stuff issued. So I want to pull today some cards on this GS person. The other thing is he was a hunter, and at one stage he left like carcasses on someone's garden or his neighbor's garden. And obviously hunter, K-bar, he probably used a K-bar. And then that maintenance guy, the plumbing, which I got, and then that caused the search warrant. So let's pull cards on this JS person. Could he be that second energy? And this is why I'm doing this, because so much came through in just that 5 minutes of what I've already brought together. And I'm not saying that I said, oh, I'm just getting from spirit now that a house nearby needed a plumber and needed maintenance, needed a plumber, and I said it. No, I was talking about the victim's house, but still those things, given that I'm not meditating on it, I'm just getting it psychically. Should I take it and meditate on it, I could probably connect it. You know, they're all things that we translate in it. So for me, it was just mind-boggling of how much this meant that I don't think enough has been given for possibly investigating this. Again, I'm going to go try and look at the documents because I haven't. I feel like it's very heavy. If I look at clips or something to do with this, I get headache. So obviously this guy is a lot younger than Kohberger. He's their age, I presume. Secrets around it, a lot of hidden secrets around this JS. I'm asking for his energy, and the secrets are being held on to. I don't know, is there something where he tried to move, travel, he wasn't at the apartment, something there with this, and it's in a challenged position. It came out like that. I feel with this it's saying that he might have anger issues and he needs to temper himself. It's interesting. Look at this skeleton and look what he's holding. Now, so many people would say about the K-bar being curved. And I was like, that's not how I see this. And so when I looked it up, it's not actually curved. It's straight. But it's got like a little, either it goes a bit thin or it goes like that, but it's not curved. But this reminds me of that, what people were saying. This tells me he's probably got some anger issues that he needs to temper. He could have Sagittarius in his top placements. I do get he did leave. He traveled or he left. And I get the Queen of Wands. So did he possibly go, given it's college students, did he go back to see his mum or something? I'm asking for his overall energy, but this is what I'm getting. Let's continue. A very diligent, analytical. To me, it seems like there was cleaning. There was some mastering of something. I don't know what he's studying. Something online here going on, you know, with this person. And so what I'm getting here is that he really wanted to be seen by one of the girls. He really wanted to, I wonder if he was interested in one of the girls. He really wanted to be seen by one of the girls. Yeah, look at that. I get a confirmation. I wonder if this guy is quite wealthy. Is he from a wealthy background? But I do feel like he could be protected by the justice system, the state of Idaho, something like that. I do get something around his background, possibly so much Leo energy here. I think he's got issues with, when I say heart, I don't mean medically. Unwanted. Was he in foster care or adopted something? So I think there's some protection that was here. I think this could be wealthy. Tempering of his anger. So what else I wrote here from what I'd taken is Brett the detective wrote, in November 2022, 10 days after the crime, what led to search, I think what I mean here, I was taking pinpoints from what I was reading, and these are the things that I know, which I forgot, is dry liquid in his apartment and door. The bolt was thoroughly clean and polished despite other apartments showing some grub. Detective Paul saw the blood, saw the red. The maintenance man where Jack was living told the police that they were responding to a water quality issue at the Shoalwater apartment, and he, the maintenance guy, noticed the red dry in the bathroom. They noticed 4 areas, and I didn't understand this. I think they've made a mistake because there was a 1904 and then there was a dash or something, and I'm not really sure. I can't see it being 94, but where there was dry red near the bathroom light switch, the toilet handle, and on the shower curtain, which then reminded me, are we sure BK's picture is his own shower curtain? So is it 94? Is it 9? Is it 4? But I counted from what I was reading for those 4 areas. So I think they've made a mistake there, which on an investigation report, it should clearly be corrected. So, you know, these red samples were in the house. So was these red samples in the house on the glove that I see, on the railing that I saw? Regardless, I don't necessarily mean his railing only. I believe the glove that I saw was outside 1122 King Road. So it's a very divine number, by the way. It's interesting that is a positive number, but what happened was not very positive. So I don't see that was analysed, the glove, the railing, and was these splatters analysed? I don't see that they was, from what I'm just getting to know, especially around the glove. And I think it's that glove that I get that actually law enforcement didn't find it. It was someone else that found it, which is very interesting if they're claiming to. And did they find out? Was it animal? Was it a male? Was it any males? Was it females? Was it victims? and maybe they did define it to a male or a female or an animal, but to me it seems like it can't be one of the victims because they couldn't have cleared this person. But why? Maybe I need to go further into the documents, which I will do. Then I've got noted the part where I said about the person caught walking on the sidewalk at 3:50 a.m. If you go to my very first reading, I said that 3:45, 3:50, and then I also explained in my reading what Kohberger was doing during that time. I also said that one of the people in the house is not exactly who they say they are, and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, but you probably get who I'm talking about. And that could just be from the fear of like getting caught up in being in such a crime scene. So I just want to ask, this person was seen walking, but I want to ask, that's the other thing. I think the person said that they were Maddie's friend. Yes, and they'd seen Maddie and then she left, but they don't know Kaylee. But I don't know why I get psychically he actually knows Dylan. And if he doesn't know Kaylee, did he mean like I don't really know her? Or did he mean I don't know her? Because it's weird, you'd say I don't really know Kaylee, but I know Maddie, and Kaylee and Maddie are always together, and I saw Kaylee that night, but I'm just like, hello, who are you? I don't know if you would just say I don't know who Kaylee is, or I don't know Kaylee, or did he say I don't know who Kaylee is? I find that really weird. And that's the other thing. What I understood is that he actually called law enforcement, saying that I saw them that night. I'm sure I read this or something. It's just coming through now. And that he knew Maddie. So Jack that night in relation to the victims. This is him. He definitely had his eyes on one of the girls. I feel like he felt she was out of his reach. I've got here, there's no confusion on who was who. So to me, this is spirit telling me he knows both. Like he knows that this is Maddie, this is Kaylee. There's no confusion that night. So him in relation to the victims that night. He found one very, I think he found one very attractive, very difficult. In relation to the victims, secrets, unseen things not being told, things that have not been revealed. Maybe he didn't say what he was actually feeling. He wasn't straight up and truthful maybe that night. Secrets again. Look at these three cards. You can't make it up. King of Pentacles. Could that be that he's wealthy? He's known to be wealthy. He takes pride in that. That's the card we got first. So at the end of the night, did he... Here, this is telling me after like 3:50 or wherever he was last seen, he might have actually just travelled away from his apartment or gone somewhere else. Let's just ask something. Remember, I am not indicating anything. I'm not indicating that Kohberger's not guilty. No, he is. But this is where it's really important. Imagine you've got someone on DEATH penalty and you've not investigated. I don't know this yet until I pull up the documents, but so far what I'm seeing is, to me, I've not heard anything that really after that that's substantial, that gives more answers. And I don't know if this is because I've not read the documents, but usually you'd find people, all I've seen is that there's crime channels reading the documents in the thumbnails, like the documents have just been released. I think today I see that a picture of Kohberger after his arrest or at his parents' house being arrested has been released, and it's just a picture. So I'm not really sure but we're going to go into this. So I've got a confirmation card. He did know Dylan, but it's not known. It's something that's not, it's not known. So maybe that's something that he didn't voice. He knew Kaylee. But again, maybe maybe he knew her, but then he stopped talking to her for some reason. Or I get like he knew her. I don't get like he didn't know her much. He knows her, but maybe not in depth. Or he knew her and he stopped. Do you know how you just not friendly with someone as much anymore? Or you just, there's a fallout or something. Does he know Maddie? I wonder if he had a crush on Maddie. I wonder if he had a crush on Maddie and he was kind of held back and that's who he was trying to impress. I think on the next one, what I'm going to do is I did say previously there's an energy of someone who walked as well. Let's ask. It was JS being protected. And by this, yeah, I've got a confirmation. I needed one more card, but I've got confirmation, yes. Oh, it's interesting. That's the same card that came out in his energy where he needs to temper himself. But I got a confirmation, yes. So was he being protected by the state, by law enforcement? Possibly. This could also be that he lawyered up. So let's keep it like that. Let's go specific. Yes. Does he come from a wealthy family, a well-connected family? Okay, so now I'll ask, was he, that's for protected in terms of law enforcement, state of Idaho, something like that. Now I'll ask, was he protected in terms of a lawyer? Which, yeah, so I think he lawyered up, which is not always a guilty thing in this case. Ooh, very strong cards. He definitely lawyered up. But it wasn't to be known. But I think it ended up being known. Do you know what I'm just getting? I'm getting that. Who's Kohberger's lawyer? I'm getting that she was actually a prosecution for the state, but she left because she couldn't handle it. Leave it there. I don't want to cause any rumours, but there's something around that she didn't. So let's ask, was JS cleared early? Like, not because he's guilty. No, I don't mean that. But was he cleared a bit too early where they haven't investigated everything they should have? There's something around that. So I didn't get my confirmation card straight away, so I continued. So I'm going to try and interpret the cards and see what we get. There wasn't a give and take in a situation. Was he cleared early? So something was not coming into balance around him. And it was that they couldn't see him at the house. Which makes sense because Kohberger, you could see, they got him on camera, didn't they? Although in my first reading, I said one of the defense's strengths and the prosecution's weakness that I was getting is that they might see a car, but they couldn't see the license plate, they couldn't see detail, they couldn't see it's Kohberger in the car, so there's no defiant thing. But here we get, what did I just say? There wasn't a... There wasn't a matching, please just, in case I'm not interpreting what I got, because that would have been the right thing, what I channeled through. There wasn't a balance in that he was at the home partying with them or celebrating. Yet there was in terms of Kohberger, and they couldn't see him directly walking that way. So was he cleared early? In some essence, because we get this, yes. We get it though later than when I asked for the confirmation. So there's something I need to prod a bit further there. Was the gag order put in place so fast due to what we got in this reading for entertainment purpose only? And it could be wrong, right? We're just exploring, and in the next one we're exploring where did was the gag order put so fast in place as a protection for JS, just because of, is this the reason, JS, that the gag order was put in place so fast? Obviously, if he's got influence. I don't get a yes in that. I feel like Jack is trouble, right? I feel like JS is trouble. And one of the reasons I'm looking into this is because we're talking about trying to navigate individuals totally cracking, losing it and committing stuff. And the energy I get around this is that even if it's not looked into for this case, that individual needs to be watched a bit, because the things that I've said about tempering anger, being a hunter, and there's an energy there of him. I really don't understand how this, I need to look at the documents. The red stuff has not been answered, and I get it's not answered, but I've not looked into the documents to know. Was the gag order put in place as a protection for everything, basically? And I get a yes, but we get a yes, and it's kind of like, so not everything can be prodded into, looked into. Prodded into to maybe protect evidence, but prodded into, looked into, that can also cause where things are not aligning. So on both ways. Do you know what I wanted to say is before I decided to do this, I was clicking to look at the documents, and I can't remember what I started, like a minute or something. And within the first line or something, it said suspect 1, and it seemed like they were talking about Kohberger. So that means they had more than one suspect. But from what I see, and I'm not talking about the documents, but all on this, it seems like as soon as they had suspect 1, Kohberger, they kind of narrowed in on him, left the rest out. Because if there's only one prime suspect that you're convinced is that person, you call it the suspect, not suspect 1. So I find that quite intriguing. Last question. Oh, I get a yes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, because the dog has just distracted me, I'm going to ask it again in the next reading. I was asking about Kohberger and JS a question. So if you're enjoying this, let me know. And in the next reading, I'm going to maybe look up, see where I can see JS in the documents to continue this part, and see if we do get some of these answers, and ask this question. Hopefully I'll remember, I'll make a note of it now. Take care, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next one.